Hi everyone. This is for my students of architecture, so others can kind of scroll down, or maybe you can hit a like. I started my journey as an architect about 2 decades back, and even today, I can honestly say that there are certain things like forming a design. The greatest question, very often question that my students ask: how do you design a concept? How do you design that architectural project that will be at hand? It's challenging. I spend most time in beginning by developing a strong concept because it helps me find clarity, and with a clear mind I can go ahead with a particular project. So in my course of in my design career, I had figured out kind of 5 tips for starting an architectural project, and these are kind of very basic thumb rules which you too can implement in your design. Students can write it down. Number 1, develop your own interpretation of that project brief. Your teachers will be giving you a project brief which you will be having to work on. Develop your own interpretation of that project brief. How do you do that? Study the design brief on your own, right? Try to understand, discuss with your teachers if you are not able to understand it, and there will be so many competition projects. There are always a lengthy brief. They give you a very detailed, lengthy brief that goes over major details of every project and every aspect of the project. It provides information of that site, it offers suggestion and asks you a lot of kind of questions and lists so many of your requirements every participant must fulfill. Now the way of working is how many architects are trained in architectural school, and it's a very effective tactic for gaining interest in the project. In fact, in universities and a lot of other places where the architecture is a part of faculty, and the large scale organizations or companies where they also provide you with a lot of design briefs that are distributed publicly, kind of, you can call it a tender maybe, or selectively to interested firms. So you need to figure out what the inner meaning of it and come up with an interpretation of the design. If you are working with smaller companies, like as in if you are an intern, in such cases it is important to ask the clients, if there is no design brief, the right questions. Ask the right questions and guide them, and also get guided by them to provide more information about the needs, aesthetics, preferences and so on. On every project that I start, I carefully read through the project brief and note the key phrases, words, paragraphs that describe the intent of the project, the intent of the client, that is. For the projects on the blog, I brainstorm a project brief for a project that I am personally interested in designing. Using this list, I brainstorm several design ideas. I come up with a list of things that are there in the particular project and draft a response to the client and ask the client pertinent questions and interpret them on my own, and then go back to the client and discuss it and finalize it. Get a sign off from them. Right? So this is about the overall overview of the first point. Next, point number 2 is research and understand your project's site context. The context of the site is very important. After drafting my interpretation, I start my site research. First, definitely on Google by utilizing the satellite map, looking at the vacant land or whatever built forms or unbuilt form, whatever is there, or the physical or the features of the site that is there. After understanding the size of the parcel and in generally the form, the terrain, the geography of the site, I orbit around it and look at neighboring buildings from a bird's eye perspective. And this all happens even before going to the site. This allows me to analyze the existing building forms, material, what the scale of it, the urban pattern that is there, and so on. Then I look into other features of the site that could influence the design of my particular building. What direction the prevailing wind is coming from, what does the solar path look like over the site, and are there any shadows cast from the site from adjacent buildings, what climate do we have to design around, what opportunities of passive heating and of cooling do we have to have on the site. So these are so many questions that you need to ask and figure out even before you visit the site. Yeah, I have another detailed article and also a video on how to analyze the site. You can go back to that later. But coming to this point again, with this understanding of the project site, I go to the Google Street View. If there are so many places where Google Street View is available, or even physically visit the site and navigate around the neighborhood and look for features in the neighborhood that could conform to the context of the building. How far back are the buildings set back from the street? What is the transparency to opacity ratio of the existing building facades? What are some of the nearest local hotspots to the site? And so on. After doing all of that, you need to figure out your constraints. Once I have enough information about my project site, it's time for me to figure out the other constraints of the project. Point number 3, figure out your constraints. What I do is, once I have enough information about my project site, now it's time for me to figure out other constraints of the project. Typically, this will come from the building codes, the bylaws, and analyzing the type of architecture that I'll be designing along with the zonal code analysis. This will define what I am able to design on a particular parcel of that land that is there, what scale of the building can be, the type of materials that could be used in the building, and so on. These constraints will ensure that the building is safe for occupancy and will start to give you a direction on your design. So, the bylaws will dictate in which direction your design will be moving, right? Now, if I am working on a competition or maybe some kind of a project I'm doing personally, the constraints are generally provided with the design brief, which makes it easier for me as a designer architect to understand the possibilities on probabilities of the project design. So it's easy. You just read through the constraint carefully and use them as a guide for designing the particular project. Sometimes what happens, the constraints on a design competition allude to a particular area of the site for a particular program or design feature. Lastly, your client, when you visit the client, or maybe if you're a student, your teacher is your client will most likely provide you with a list of programs along with suggestions on where some program should be located. The client might also provide a set of special relationships between specific programs. Be sure to ask your teacher or your client, whosoever it is, and ask them those guiding questions to get a better understanding of those programmatic relationships as well as the aesthetic preferences if they have. What kind of architecture do they admire? What kind of materials do they want to see on the building facades? Provide some examples, give them some options, and use this as an opportunity to narrow down the design possibilities in your mind. So it will be easier for you to design that way, and there will be less number of, iterations on your design. Yeah. Point number 4, research precedents and case studies. Studying previous cases is as important as studying the site or its surroundings or the bylaws. A case study has to be so solid that your case studies will define how your building would come up later. When the constraints have been set, in my previous point that I had told you, when you have done that, you'll have a general idea of the aesthetics, the form, the scale, and other possible design features. Now it's time to start researching the precedents and the case studies relating to the particular project. Starting with precedents, what I do is I generally, come up with some boards or start collecting related projects, features that from, a lot of places. Of course, Google is a very good source. If you have other books or go to some place you can visit and take photographs, and like primary, secondary, it will be a mix of both primary as well as secondary case studies, right? without spending too much of time. Do not waste too much of time in each rendering and taking a lot of, collating it in a very professional way. It is more to take the feedback from it and take the learning from it and implement in your design. Focus too much of more of your time into your design, right? Not your case study, but learn from your case study, use it in your design. Yeah, after selecting like 2 or 3 precedents which are very pertinent to this particular project, what I do is I research these projects on the website, about the architects who have done it, what were their design thoughts about this particular project, and particular narrowed down list where the learnings are there. It's a conclusive list of your case study. Take it from there. These searches can go in depth from your books also, or you can collate it in one particular place and list only those points that are highly relevant, and then for using in your particular design. Right. The 5th point number 5, very important: sketch, and sketch. As an architect, you need to do freehand sketches, even if you have softwares today. There are so many sketching softwares today. Of course, you use them. That is a productive way to do your job. Freehand sketching is important. I have a detailed article on freehand sketching, how the architects should do it. So go to my page and have a look at it. What I do is, once I have gathered enough information and notes related to that particular project, I distill all of it down to the specific design ideas of the project. Then I put pen to paper and start sketching my ideas as quickly as they come to me without stopping or critiquing my sketches. I ignore the part of my mind that tells me I drew a line crooked or refine the shapes that I just drew. As I continue pressing and pulling, dragging and pushing them, whether I do it on your designing softwares or with pen or paper. So there are a lot of ideas to start generating. Throw out 10 of a paper after sketching, but still you will come up with one design which will be that particular design you want it on the site. Yeah, I think it's important for me to point out, there are self-depreciating thoughts. Wow, my design is not yet there. Trying to pull myself back. Why pull yourself back? Why hold yourself back? Do not overthink. Because at the end of the day, every architect will have their own process for starting a new project, and we all have our own mediums of explorations. The beautiful part about being a creative profession, a professional in a creative profession, is that we can decide what process works best for us. Whether that means taking a design brief and immediately starting with your 3D model maybe, or walking through physical massing models, or just sketching with pen and paper. Getting more experience by constantly practicing architecture will help you find your process of design. You too will have narrowed down your 5 points. These 5 points are for startup guide. You come up with your own 5 points maybe, or maybe more, and evolve from there. Yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comment box. I'll try to answer each of your query. Bye.